Righty. Let's get to it. I don't need that. All right, y'all. So it's Saturday morning. So for those who don't know, Saturday morning we do a live stream. Oh, we do a live stream. Um, it's a winter wonderland around good old Chi-Town this Saturday morning. Of all things, it's Shop Small, right? It's Small Business Saturday. It's what we're gonna talk about a little bit today. So on Saturdays, for those who don't know, for the new and uninitiated, thank you. First off, welcome. um, get into, of course, building out the newsletter because there are some things I'm playing around with. There's some things I'm testing out. There's some things working on. But for the most part, I mean, I'm still a writer. I'm still an artist, right? I'm still a creator in my own right, and I still have to. I can automate a lot of things, but there's some things I don't want to automate just yet. This one I will at some point. I actually worked on a few tools and I'm going to test them out. We're going to do that in a live stream on Patreon. So for those who are not part of Patreon, on the Patreon, I'm going to build out a few automations to see which one I prefer in helping me with my newsletter. Because as of course as things grow and change, you gotta evolve. But most importantly, that's really what I see the best use case for AI, especially right now, is to automate those little tedious things, not the writing, but the actual compiling. But on Saturdays I compile and I put together my newsletter for Monday, right? Um, because this is a thing I love to do. I love to write. I love to put things together. I read news articles. I read periodicals. I read reports all week. So it makes it really easy for Saturday. Because originally I used to do it like Wednesday or Thursday, but I would find something on Friday. I'm like, dang, I wanted to put that in. I would find myself going back into it. So I have a structure. So I do. But on Saturdays, you guys join me as I put some pieces together. Some pieces I don't put together, like because it'd be boring just watching me write sometimes. Um, Sometimes they're really entertaining, sometimes they're not. But on Saturdays, you guys join me as I put it together. But we also have a discussion on a few topics. Now, there's a few articles I'm writing just to give you a heads up. Number one, there's an article coming out of it's coming out about. For those who don't know, um, I don't know if you've ever heard. For those who may not have heard of this rapper and entertainer, actually a rapper and entertainer that I grew up enjoying quite a few of his songs. Joel Santana, he made an interesting statement this past week, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, about a week, if not, yeah, a week before that, Pharrell Williams. I said Pharrell. Oh my God, Pharrell Williams. He made a really crazy statement at a. Oh my God, I'm just thinking about it. At an actual award ceremony, or not music award ceremony, because Pharrell's known for being a music producer. At an event where he was, and that's what the article in the video, it's a video article, is all about. So I'm going to get into those two statements and how they actually are very much connected. One was about, just to touch on it for a second, it's hard for me to say this. One statement from one of the gentlemen was, we need to focus less on reading, and we don't need to read as much. And when I say we, I mean we teaching our children and our young, especially young people of color, and of course, Joel Santana, for those who don't know, African American, but also a Latin background. So it's really concerning to hear that from somebody, especially with all the things going on in the country right now. That was a statement that we do not, reading is important. We shouldn't be worried about teaching young people how to read. That was the statement. Like I said, that's the statement. I'm not not verbatim, but close enough. Um, and I keep saying Pharrell, Pharrell Williams. I don't know why I keep saying Pharrell. Pharrell Williams. Um, his statement was, politics aren't reality. Politics aren't real. Now the one word he actually did, or sorry, one statement he did make was politics are not real. And like I said, the article is about how they are connected, and people are jumping on it, which I think is rightfully so. But also at the same time, there's something bigger that's being missed, and this is why they're connected. That there's something huge there's something incredibly dangerous and important that's being missed in both of those statements. Not enough people talk. Few people have brought it up, and that's what really triggered me to say, you know what, let's write about this. Let's talk about this. So that will be one of the first video essays I'm going to put on that YouTube that I said I was making in the last live. So for those, once again, if you're first time viewing, first time coming here, Substack every Saturday morning around 10 a.m. Central. Go live just to go over the newsletter, but also to go over some things like that, topics that are coming up, topics that we have seen in the news and discussed. I don't go live a lot on platforms. I kind of restrict my lives to Patreon. So Substack is one of the few places just because I like the community over here a lot more. Um, and I'm all about community, but also you gotta protect your mentals, man. There's a lot of stuff out here. I've been on the internet for years, so you gotta protect your mentals. Go where you're strongest. And that's one of the big things I want to start off with. That's actually something I want to start off with in the newsletter. Even though we're going to talk about shop small, go where you're strongest. Go where you're most comfortable. Go where you feel, you're at your best. This has happened to a lot of people where they tend to do this. They'll go outside of that because they feel, hey, if I'm constantly uncomfortable, I get comfortable with being uncomfortable, which there's nothing wrong with that. That's one way to challenge yourself. But there's a difference between challenging yourself to grow and evolve and then just challenging yourself for the sake of, thinking you have to constantly do something to put yourself in a bad situation. And I'm bringing that up because as we talk about small businesses, we talk about platforms like Substack and going live, and you have to use these digital components. For entrepreneurs, for small business owners, for creators out there who are watching this, go where you're strongest, and I do mean that, right? I've had a few clients ask me about, well, I don't see you post a lot on Instagram, but I see you all the time on LinkedIn. There's a reason why. Because LinkedIn is my, for lack of a better term, I mean, I know it's not, but it's my habitat. LinkedIn is my spot. LinkedIn is where I get my groove on. You know what I'm saying? YouTube. I will post to the YouTube community tab 3 or 4 times more than I'll ever do on Facebook or Instagram. And oh, by the way, if you join me Saturday mornings, you're joining coffee. Sorry, you need to get some. You need to get some tea. You need to get some coffee. You need to get whatever you need. Get you, because I'm gonna have mine. Okay, because I'm a job head. It's just what I am. You go where you're strongest, right? And this goes. And I'm probably know you're still probably wondering, or maybe there's somebody wondering, how does this connect to your business? It's the same thing for your business. We have this idea, oh, everyone's in marketing, or everyone's an influencer, or everyone talks about fashion. It's like drop shipping. And I'm going to connect it to drop shipping in my business at one point. You know, a lot of people think in a drop shipping business it's easy to start. It's easy to get started with, and usually people are going to sell electronics, people are going to sell fashion, people are going to sell, but that's not what they know, and that's not what they care about, and that's not their passion. So they'll try to sell, they'll try to start a dropshipping business, and I hear all the time, because that's really where I got started when I started in e-commerce, which was dropshipping. And it's like, people get upset. And sadly, the ones who burn out, who close their doors, man, dropshipping sucks, or dropshipping isn't a good business, and e-commerce doesn't work. That's because you did something you completely have no passion about. Not just uncomfortable, you have no passion about it. You went to a place where it's not even something you are comfortable with going into and working every day. And that's what I'm talking about when it comes to social media platforms. That's why I don't go live on a lot of platforms. I go live on Substack, go live on Patreon. Once in a while, I may do a live on YouTube. Because what it comes down to is, if you're not at your, or you don't feel at your best, right? And you don't feel you're giving your best, and you can be at your best, and you can give your best, it won't happen for you. It won't happen for you. You have to challenge yourself, yes. But that's like saying there's a difference between and parallel to sports, because sports and athletics and physique and fitness, we can connect things too easily, right? Because we can see it. So that's like someone saying, hey, I'm naturally inclined to play basketball, right? Their challenge would be going to that gym every day, learning how to dribble, how to dunk, how to pass, how to shoot from the how to shoot from the half point if they can do that, right? Or at least get a 3 pointer down, at least get a jump shot down, at least get layups down, right? Getting the fundamentals down, but challenging themselves to get better at each one, as opposed to saying, I'm naturally inclined to play basketball. Let me challenge myself and play ice hockey. Well, wait a minute. Totally different mechanics. Totally different mechanics. And I pick ice hockey because we're talking about now you have to learn how to skate. It's not about running, it's about skating at that point, too. Right? Now you have an entire instrument and a piece of equipment that you have to use, a hockey stick. You didn't have that before. Right? You have the hockey stick and you have the puck. So now I'm adding more complexity into it. Not saying you can't do it, not to say you won't be great at it, just to say there's a difference between challenging yourself and just putting yourself in this world that's just, wait a minute, that's not even making it a challenge for myself. That's not even making it a barrier to cross. That's building something so insurmountable that it's not even necessary for what I want. So go to where you're strongest. If you don't like X, don't use X. If you don't like Instagram, don't use Instagram. Be honest with you, this is on Substack, but if you don't like Substack, don't use Substack. Go where you're at your best and your strongest. And this is the one time I would actually say these words. I should say, this is the one time I would say these words do make sense and they are accurate. Your tribe, your group, your people, your nation, whatever you want to call them, they will find you. Your audience will find you. But you have to be consistent. You have to be diligent. You have to listen to what they want still. You have to bring them value. But they will come and they will find you. Because now, this is the one problem. It might be really small to where you may be not able to sustain it, and then you need to find another platform. Doesn't mean you have to be everywhere once again. So go where you're strongest. I start off all that because, last live somebody asked me like, oh man, you don't do lives over. I forgot the platform they said. I think it was Instagram. I said no, you will probably never find me doing a live cast on Instagram. And I'm gonna put this out there right now. I might do a live cast on Instagram one day if I'm actually paid for that. by like actual somebody else sponsor, not you guys, not a sponsor or something. Because that's the kind of thing it would take me to do a live over there. So it's just not for me. It's just not for me. Or if I'm doing a live cast from an event that I'm a part of, and Instagram is a part of that, broadcast and that distribution channel. Well, yeah, of course, I'm not gonna hurt the event, especially if I'm working with other people. But I'm talking about when I'm working on my own and I'm working closely with you guys and the audience. It's always gonna be Substack. Go where you're strongest. That's why I chose Substack. Actually, my very first live on Substack was about that. Why I chose Substack. It's a community. It's not a community just of creators. It's also a community of fans and followers who really want to absorb what you talk about. Instagram is a real scroll pass. And I hate to say it, Substack starts to feel like it's getting that way, but it's meant to stop the scroll. I noticed that Substack is designed to stop scrolling, and unfortunately, it feels like it's getting closer to endless scrolling. Um, but and I just thought about it, an interesting feature, but that's why I stopped for a second. I'm like, I want you guys to think I'm glitching out. Um, but that should work. So let's get into it. It's Shop Small Saturday. So today is 11/29/2025. And for those who don't know, Small Business Saturday, also called Shop Small Saturday. Now, the funny thing is that, and this is why I have them up here. I'm going to pull it up right here because this is what cracks me up about Shop Small every year. Okay, so Shop Small, which is actually the trademark name, right? That's owned by American Express. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a small business owner. I appreciate, understand the importance of commerce and selling, and of course, marketing is my area of experience and expertise. But I find it very funny how the company that And as much as I appreciate what they've done for Shop Small, this is still not one of the best credit cards for a small business. It always cracks me up. I'll say it again. American Express, and I don't know if this is going back on knowledge, or I mean business experience with companies and small businesses. There are many businesses, even still to this day, that will not accept an American Express. Not as many as it used to be, because of the charges. Now, the charges from other companies have increased quite a bit to where it's almost the same level. But it always cracks me up at how American Express is the one that coined the phrase "shop small," really pushed small businesses. Yet, this is the credit card that a lot of small businesses like to accept the least, or least likely to accept, because of the fees that come along with it. So I've always found that interesting, and I have to throw that out there. Yes, I have to throw that out there because I want us to go a little bit over not only the little bit of the history, but the importance of Shop Small or Small Business Saturday, um, and what's going on. So small businesses, you know, it's scary how people don't know the power of a small business until unfortunately they live in a community where small businesses, specifically that investment by small businesses, has been pulled out, has been taken away, right? And I do mean pulled out because just because one business leaves doesn't mean another business doesn't come in. When a business leaves a community and another small business doesn't open up, or another business doesn't enter that community to take its place, that is true divestment. That is true. We are not investing in these communities anymore. You will see a rapid increase in crime, in poverty, in lack of education, because this is why I do appreciate commerce, because I appreciate it for what it brings along with it. Let's be real. People follow the money. People follow the money. The money is, hey, I'm willing to open up some doors, sell whatever in this community. Wait a minute, that guy's willing to do it. I'm willing to do it. That guy's willing to do it. Now I'm willing to do it. Now you have three businesses, but more importantly, right behind that, you have, well, you know what? There's people living in this community. There's businesses open up in this community. Let's make sure the schools stay open. Let's make sure we keep investment going. Let's make sure the roads are paved. Let's make sure commerce brings those types of things. Now, I will call this out because there's a very blanket statement I make, right? There's a lot of course, there's levels to everything. Number one, we're talking about business to consumer. Because business to business can bring things, but not the same like business to consumer. We need consumers. We need traffic. We need legs. We need feet. We need people moving. We need people shopping. We need people coming here during the holidays, whatever. That's number one. It has to be business to consumer. Number two, it has to be a combination of investments, right? It has to be a barbershop, cafe, restaurant, those type of things. But the most important, it has to be a small business. And this is the most important reason why. And this is why I don't care if you own one or not, you still have to do it as well. You have to. And I mean, you have to survive as a business owner. You have to. You have to support the small businesses. This is the most important factor. And that's why, even though this is made or coined and trademarked by American Express, this is how it works. Nothing's perfect and no one's perfect. I appreciate the fact that they were willing to do this because they saw an opportunity that no one else was taking. The most accepted credit card, we all have seen those commercials over the what is that, the past 15 years? What is the most accepted credit card in the world? In the world, I have yet to see them talk about supporting small businesses. Think about that, okay? And other companies like American Express jumped on this. Shopify, Square and Shopify. Every financial, or not even financial, every tech and financial company could really pay attention to, or should really pay attention to what those two companies have been doing. I have seen so many companies or small businesses get on board with e-commerce just because of Shopify. Because Shopify lowered those barriers and said, listen, this is an opportunity to save and protect your business. And yes, now I will say Shopify got some serious fees, and compared to some other e-commerce platforms, Shopify has some serious fees. But they're supporting small businesses. Businesses are surviving because of Shopify. Businesses, excuse me, let's go. Businesses are surviving, more importantly, thriving because of Square. Two cafes that I go to. One, I don't go to for their coffee. I go there strictly for their pastries. Let me tell you right now, them croissants are a bomb. And as usual, with a live. And I'm going to change it up a little bit with this description, but I will make sure to put in links in some of the places I'm talking about. They not only expanded, but this cafe has grown exponentially fast because they accept Square. And I've talked to them. It's because they accept Square. So Square has a few integrations built into it. It's easy to use. You do not have to be, really tech savvy. You just got to know your business. You got to take the time with anything else. You got to take your time and understand it. And they've grown with referrals. They've grown with gift cards. They've grown with what is it when you connect it to your credit card and it's basically it immediately signs you up and makes you a lead going forward. It makes you a returning customer going forward where you earn points. So a lot of companies could learn from Shopify and Square about how to save and protect, or at least help businesses. Now, if it protects them, if it saves them, that's depending on the situation, but helps small businesses and supports small businesses. And I commend American Express for this as well, for at least coming up with something like this. Hey, let's become the champions. And that's what they call the people, right? So the people who are in the communities, and hopefully you're part of one of these communities, they call them the champions, right? Let me go over here. Um, I'm going to take you to this menu because it's a very interesting menu too. I don't allow you to track me. Let's see. So I just put in Chicago, right? So these are all the online businesses, smart move, that accept American Express and that are considered small businesses. They build out an entire directory for you, right? And this is what I'm saying. Like I commend them for this. I do because this is a tool right here for you. I want us to keep this going. Us, not you, not just you. I'm talking about me too. Small Business Saturday is not just a one day holiday that that was great, we came out, did our shopping, blah blah, we never come back. We need to support these businesses because as I said before, the third and most important factor is us supporting them and keeping them in those communities. And here's the other thing: if they can't stay, because small businesses close all the time. I've unfortunately over the past just 2 weeks passed by one business that was there for like 35 years, and these are different communities, so I'll call them out. One business that was in a community, the community of Lincoln Park. It was there for 35 years. They closed the restaurant, or not the restaurant. It was more like a sandwich shop. They closed the sandwich shop because the owner had two locations. Right, this location they had in Chicago for 35 years. They built a location out in California. I want to say about 15 years ago. I think they said. Well, the daughter who inherited it, she stayed in California. She's like, I'm just going to keep this one open. I'm not. She inherited the parents' business. I'm not keeping the Chicago location open. Now, not knocking her. She's got to make her decisions. But my point is that because one of the reasons that led to it, she's like, well, there's competition and people don't come to me like they used to, or they don't come to this location like they used to. Taxes are going up. And if people don't go in there as much as they used to, what does that mean? They're not getting the support. That means they're not getting the support. So it's easier for her to say, I'm just going to close these doors and not sell to anybody. Now it's a condo. Now it's a condo, right? Another business, not nowhere near as long, probably about 10 years. Not the same situation. They don't have a second location. They just closed this one and built another one in the community that does get that support, right? So the first business I talked about was in Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park, for those who know, that's the location of the main campus of DePaul University, one of the most well-known private universities, maybe in America. Definitely in Illinois, definitely in the Midwest. But I wouldn't be shocked if it's because there's similar names out there. But DePaul University, right? They used to have a hell of a basketball team at one point too. Um, I'm not a basketball fan. I remember that team was at one point pretty darn good. But and that's actually how they got some popularity. But this is right near the DePaul University campus, the main campus. Kids from all over the world, professors from all over the world, professionals from all over the world, right? But the other one I was talking about, like the 10-year business, they're like, hey, we're just not getting the support like we used to, so we're closing up shop. So it's on us to use tools like this, right, to keep it going. Hey, maybe there's a new business that opened up. Maybe there's a business that we can check out. Like, hey, there's a business down the street. Of course, there's Google, but if you want something that's specifically designed for small businesses, because even there's Yelp, but this is a really cool directory. And I want to call that out before we get into a little bit more about Shop Small and Small Business Saturday. Use a directory like this. This is at the American Express website, but specifically as part of their Shop Small map. There will be a link to this in the description of this live cast, because it's a really good tool for us, right? Just to find businesses in our local area. Just put it in your city. You put in your zip code. You can have it track you, follow if you want. I just don't do it, but put it in your city and just or your town or whatever, and see what businesses are out there. You're like, hey, there's a new restaurant or there's a new a dry cleaner. Who knows? Who knows? It's just a really good opportunity. It's a good tool for to give us the opportunity to help small businesses and support small businesses, because if that business is getting the consistent traffic it needs, and yet you can't do it all by yourself and saving them, and that's not your job necessarily, but you're part of a community, and when people see investment in community, like I said, even if one leaves, if they see, well, maybe that one person left. This one person left and went to California because she wanted to go to California. That doesn't mean everyone's going to California. No. She just noticed people weren't investing in our business as much anymore. And people weren't coming to the locally owned sandwich shop. Sandwich shop, man, that's a tongue twister. Sandwich shop as much as they used to. So, why should I say? Right? So, that's the first piece. Now, the movement itself. You have champions in your neighborhoods. And this is where I'm going to go here. Now, of course, I'm going to harp on Chicago because it's the best city in the world. But, but a lot of times what we'll do, and this goes even why I start off with about being comfortable, but also challenging yourself in a way where not only you can achieve the goal, but also that empowers you to go to the next goal. For years, I initially was like, oh man, let me be small business champion around the world. Small business champion around the world. Dude, you know how big the world is? I'm talking about geopolitics that are on a level that, people take their entire life just studying one country, one nation, one culture, one tribe, one religion. I'm talking about taking it on for the whole world. Let me focus on my grassroots. Let me focus on my city first, right? Because also, if I'm allowing or if I'm not being a part of the solutions at home, but I'm going over another country, I'm going to another state, and I'm telling, hey, you guys need to fix this. Well, Aaron, why don't you worry about Chicago first? Because that's your home, and it's not being bogus. It's actually true. So the best thing of it is I can leave a blueprint, and I started compiling a list of events. I started doing this right before the pandemic, because it's so weird how the pandemic. It's like we lost years. I don't know if I'm the only one that feels that way, but it's really weird how it's like it's kind of like a blind spot, right? It's not to say I have memory of it, of course. Well, not of course, but yes, unfortunately, I do have memory of it because there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's like a blind spot for a lot of people, and I'm not the only one who's felt this. But it's just interesting how you'll skip over there, like, no, it's 3 years, no, it's actually 5 years. So yeah, that's why I was like, wait, 3? No, 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 because I did it. The first time I did it was the year before, and it really became important, of course, as we're going through the pandemic. So now, because I'm on Substack, publishing on Substack, so this is a list of events that are happening today. Now, I posted it on, of course I still share on Instagram and things like that. I just don't go live, and I'm not really that active there as much. Posting on Instagram, posting on LinkedIn, of course. This went out in the newsletter last week as well. I'm going over this. This is a fantastic resource, and I'm not saying because I made it. What I'm saying is that if you have a city if you have a town and you're noticing that it would be good to be a voice, or they need voices for small businesses, something like this. A simple, very similar to what American Express has, but this is specifically for Shop Small events. So these are events that are specifically for Small Business Saturday, which is not necessarily Shop Small, right? And that's why some of them say they're connected to Shop Small. Because what American Express started to do, and they stopped this a few years back actually during the pandemic, what they would do is, because they coined that phrase shop small. They trademarked that name shop small. They actually trademarked it, right? That's their logo and all that stuff. They actually used to send out these packs to people they would call neighborhood or community champions, right? Small business champion, but they call it community champion. And with that, if you had to register as a champion, I was registered as a champion for my community, for my neighborhood, and they would send you packs. They would send you a pack of posters and stickers and flyers and stuff like that. And if you said you were going to have an event, they would help you with the event. They would at least give you materials for Shop Small. Now, of course, they stopped that because that's very expensive, I can imagine. But once again, I commend them on that because that was a heck of a pursuit, and you didn't have to pay anything for that. Now, a lot of businesses that initially registered, or people that registered, or organizations that registered as champions, are still considered small business champions, right? I don't know if I'm still listed on there. I haven't checked it I literally haven't checked in like 2 years, but I used to be listed. Well, the company used to be listed. Um, and you would get they might send you something the last 2 years, but it wasn't as big as the pack used to be. And I believe at one point you had to request it. Last year you had to request it like again. You had to say, hey, I'm still here. I'm trying to do this thing. So not sure how it is now for as many businesses because I didn't request anything this year and I didn't go into it about that because of other situations coming up where I was working with the organizations that I work with. But these events are still trying to align themselves, and some of them are actual from actual champions to where Shop Small Saturday, Weekend Market, and they're not lasting just one day, which is awesome. So many of these, especially with what's going on in Chicago right now, for those who don't know, it's a snowstorm. Um, they're taking it to. Some people did a 3-day weekend thing. They started on Black Friday, right? Black Friday, and I say it like that because I'm like, dude, those deals are not Black Friday deals anymore. But they started on Friday, and some of them are going all the way to Sunday, which is really awesome. A few of them are, I should say, the majority of them are doing it Saturday and Sunday, but there's a few that are doing it Friday through Sunday. But the majority that are doing multiple days are just doing that Saturday, Sunday thing, which I understand. It's a great day to go out shopping, right? So these are from all these different communities, everything from the far south side to the west side. For those who don't know about Chicago, I'm not gonna be like one of those people from New York where I start naming these places and I expect you just to know them. Because I noticed a lot of people do that about New York. They're like, oh yeah, you go on the East End. It's like, where, what? I mean, New York is east, right? East end of New York. No, so Chicago really is broken down. I mean, we have our 77. We're known for our 77 communities, but yes, 77. Chicago's a big freaking city. Um, but we really break it out like there's the south side, the north side, the west side. There isn't really an east side for those because I've had a few people ask me, well, what about the east side? I'm like, there really isn't an east side either. If you're south, southeast. If you're north, you're northeast, and clearly if you're west, you're not east, right? So it's like that's kind of because the east is just the lake, right? So the south is from the lake until you get to a certain point, and usually that cutoff is well based on State Street. So State Street, that great street for those who may remember that old rhyme. And because Chicago is very diverse but very segregated, I wouldn't be doing. Like I said, I'm always gonna keep it honest with y'all. Very segregated area, very, very, very segregated. We still, um, it's pretty good to see that people will still travel, to different communities, and support things like this. But this list is comprised of every neighborhood, or at least the neighborhoods I can find that had events. Um, this is not the biggest list. I think I have only 30 or 25 this year. This is not the biggest list by far. I think the biggest list I ever had was I had almost one for. Well, I didn't have one for every neighborhood. I had about 60. And there's like if you see here, this Portage Park comes up quite a few times. South Shore is definitely gonna come up. South Shore's a big area. Bronzeville's one area I grew up in. But yeah, this is Something like this. So whether it's just sharing out what's happening in your neighborhood, whether it's just sharing out what's happening at a local business that you support, um, goes a long way. Okay, it goes a heck of a long way. So, which leads me to the newsletter, because this Saturday, for those, once again, every Saturday I do this about an hour at the most. If I don't get a lot of questions, or if I don't open up for chat, I usually like to open up for chat. But if I don't get a lot of questions, everything, I make sure at least to get this stuff in here that way, and then we can stimulate. Hopefully, it stimulates some conversation. If not, cool. Just a little heads up, what's coming up in the newsletter. So, talking about supporting small businesses, and this is my point of sharing what you find, but more importantly, this is my point of if you are a small business owner, an opportunity, an entrepreneur, why it's important to connect with one another and just don't be an information gatekeeper. Let me just say it like that. I'm trying to say it, keep it as positive as possible. So one of the things I'm going to be sharing, one of the things that came up working with other small businesses recently, is this awesome. It's not one grant, and this is what a lot of people miss out. It's actually multiple grants that lead up to, if I'm not mistaken, over $1 million. That Verizon Digital Ready. I keep wanting to call it Digital Verizon for some reason. Verizon Digital Ready, even though it's right in my phrase right here, right? Has been committed to helping small businesses, and it's actually a really cool grant because all you have to do is attend a few events, and they're all online, and participate and show that you're doing the work, that you're digital ready. That's fantastic, just to get free money. Now, don't get me wrong, your business has to be, there's certain stipulations, and we'll get into that in the actual newsletter. But check out Monday's newsletter because I'm going to talk about that. Right now, it's a $10,000 grant that's available for you. So, and I think the last day to register for that one is the 10th of December. So that's coming up pretty quick. Yeah, so don't miss out on something like that. Now, Small Business Administration, they are supporting Small Business Saturday, and they're supporting it with kind of pushing out information about grants and information like that. I will also be putting that in because the cool part about them, and I will say this at least, they've somewhat consistently kept this going with this administration, is they are still helping you, as you notice, they are helping still get you some materials for Start Small. I know today is the day, right? Here's the thing about that. A lot of people keep that shopping going. And I'm going to connect the dots here, and it's very important that you pay attention to connect these dots because this is going to help you if you're trying to go for the grants too. Not only with the Rising grant, but also there's some SBA grants. They want to see that you're working towards bringing in customers, that you're bringing in and you're sharing the word, spreading the word. Part of being digital ready is are you promoting online? Some of the marketing materials that they have are for digital marketing, right? So you can showcase online, hey, how I am posting on Instagram, how I'm posting on X, wherever you may be, wherever you feel strongest to do that. And that goes to your application for one of those grants because the whole point is making sure you're digital ready. Now, that's one of the grants, not all of them, right? And there are materials you can get through the Small Business Administration. And the Small Business Administration hasn't cut them all. I'm not sure the awards right now, but the Small Business Administration is still offering some funding. And for those who don't know, we have just exited, in a sense, grant. Yeah, pretty much grant writing season. So a lot of grants, a lot of opportunities they either are announced or they open up in October. Some in September, but mostly in October. And you got to keep in mind, there's a big reason for this. Very important reason for this. Fiscal year. Fiscal year comes up. So a lot of corporations, what they're doing is they're closing out fiscal year, and they're also putting in a budget for the next fiscal year, right? That budget, if you're a corporation and you're going to things like Verizon, right, that would go into their budget. So that's why they're saying, hey, applications are going to close because we're allocating this for the next fiscal year, right? Some businesses say, hey, corporations that are giving out sponsors and grants and loans. Hey, we're opening it up from end of September to the beginning of November because we're trying to close out what we're going to give and what we're going to award, right? So we've actually exited that season, but there a lot of stuff has been announced. There will be more to come, but the major announcements have pretty much already gone out. I'm going to put as many of those in this week's newsletter. Most likely it'll be in next week, the second week of December's newsletter, but definitely we got to talk about the Verizon grant. And I found a few others that I'm going to share in there as well. So the numbers. Now, here's a toolkit for small businesses. Now, a lot of this goes towards, of course, once again, small businesses. But this is stuff that you can showcase that you supported small businesses. And this is why I'm sharing this. Because a lot of people talk to small business owners, oh, this is what you need to do to market. This one. No, small business owners help other small business owners. You know, I don't go to a chain, a franchise for the haircut. I go to a local barbershop. Right? I've always gone to a local barbershop. And the reason why I bring that up, barbershop, that's where I got this mug. I've had this mug since I was, I think, 10 years old. So the barbershop that I went to as a kid, I went there for 5 years because they closed up. On my birthday, my barber gave me this mug. His name was Jerome. Jerome took over the barbershop when the owner died, but he moved the barbershop. That's why I stopped going. That's why it was only 5 years. But from the age of 5 to 10, I went to that barbershop. Jerome gave me this mug for my birthday. Bringing that up because that's a neighborhood where I still do some business. I don't live over there anymore. But I've had clients in that area. I've had collaborations with other creators in that area. I was a Boy Scout in that area. Well, I was in a Boy Scout. Let me not BS. I was a Cub Scout. I couldn't make it to Boy Scout. I couldn't even make it to Weeblos. For those who don't know about the Scouts, man, I couldn't even make it to the Weeblos. You know, I couldn't even make it to Weeblos. But bring that up because that's where I got my appreciation for small businesses and see what small businesses did for communities. So, if you shop anywhere, now you can see shop small every day. And this is why I'm bringing up these hashtags. These will be tracked. These are out there. People are looking at them. And this will bring attention to small businesses, right? So, shop small every day is a really good one. Really good one. Notice also, this is from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. This is not American Express. Bring that up because also a lot of people focus and they think, oh, if I say shop small, then maybe I'm connected to American Express event or I'm connecting to American Express. And I can understand that because that's, once again, they are the ones who trademarked it, coined it. They made it popular. But Small Business Saturday was already there. Okay? It became trademarked. It became a coined, popular holiday when money got put behind it by American Express. And American Express got the money, of course. So if you feel more comfortable, put shop small every day. Very important to support these businesses in our communities because most importantly, number one, most likely someone's first job is with a small business, whether it's a family business or not. Most likely, and the numbers behind that, 3 out of 5. Okay, this is a number shared. Now, this is a few years back. I haven't looked it up recently, but this is a few years back, about 20, I think it was 2022, 2023. 3 out of 5 people's first job was with a small business. Once again, it could be your family business, right? But still a small business. And that's incredibly important. Now, the number has also gone down on this next stat, but it's an important stat, right? It used to be for every dollar that was spent at a small business, more than 50%. Actually, the number was actually more than 60% up until 2 years ago. Now it's about 51, maybe 55% or 55. Actually, people want to put in dollars, cents. Some people used to say it was 50 cents, but it was actually percent. But the majority of that dollar still stays within the community. It's just not as much as it used to because more has closed within those communities. But also, here's the more critical factor.
It's not just because businesses have closed in communities, it's also because more people are ordering from online businesses and they're going farther outside. So it's not even like, think about it this way. Even if the small business closed, maybe there's a Walmart in the community. Even if the small business closed, there's a CVS. Even if the small business closed, there's a Kroger. Even if the small business closed, there's a Macy's, right? So the money would still stay somewhat in that community. But now, if you're ordering online, it's going outside that barrier, right? So we're looking at it from 60% to down to maybe 51, 55 at the most, right? And I know you're probably thinking, well, yeah, that's not that bad, but that is pretty rough because the money that goes to a small business in your community, that's going in the pocket of a local employee because that employee, once again, is most likely from that community. That employee is going to spend money in that community. Rent, mortgage. They're going to pay to be a part of PTA and part of schools, right? And local activities, working with the local, religious communities, whether it's a church, a synagogue, a mosque, doesn't matter. That money is going to stay in that neighborhood. That's incredibly important. So, I myself and good old Aaron over here, every day, making sure I'm spending at a small business. And I'm waiting for the day that we get like a local streaming company. That'd be kind of cool, local streaming company. And we can spend money there instead of going to other places. But you can't control that just yet, right? Um, but as you shop and as you post, I know y'all love to post. As you shop and as you post, you know, use these hashtags so people can track and see, hey, where did you shop? Where did you go? Where did you get that? Because this is the kind of thing that will drive and stimulate their attention. Because a lot of times business owners, they're scared to do it on their own. They don't know how to do it. If you give them that advocacy, they will. And they're more empowered to do so. And that's where support comes from. It's just supporting our community. And who knows, one day this might be your kid, your friend, your family member's first or next job. Or this might empower them to start their own business, or may empower you to bring your business to that local community, whether it's a pop-up shop, whether it's it might be a food truck, right? But that can still be a locally owned business because you could register in that neighborhood, you can park in that neighborhood, you can be a part of it. There's a really cool taco truck that parks in front of the grocery store not far from my house, and I asked the owner. The owner is actually not from this community, but all their workers are. And they were like, hey, where should I park? Where should I post up? They're like, dude, you know exactly where you need to be. You need to be on this spot on these days because let me tell you right now, you're going to get the traffic. And he does. But he's actually from, well, not that far. He's probably like, I'm going to say about 5 miles away. So it's not that bad. But I was really shocked when I found out. I was like, hey, I've never seen him around here. I was like, hey, man, I love the truck. I see the truck all the time. I see you in the truck all the time, but I never see you. He's like, no, I live over. I'm like, that's a little ways away. He's like, yeah, but yeah, the person on the register, they're from the community. The two cooks, they're from the community, and there's another person who I guess they kind of serve and they do cashiering. Because it's a regular sized food truck, but he has a rotating staff, which is smart, and they're all from the neighborhood. They're all from the neighborhood. And I know, guys, I'm sorry if I keep doing this because that's how I speak. Sometimes it's not good. Sorry about that. I need to speak into the mic. Okay, so with that, newsletters coming out Monday, December 1st. It will have not only the Verizon grant, but there is another grant. I'm not going to tell you right now. There's another grant that's in there. But the Verizon grant is one. I mean, if you are a small business owner and entrepreneur and your business is up and running, I don't see why you shouldn't at least attempt to go after this money. The other thing is of course, it's going to have info about how Small Business Saturday went, a little history about the Small Business Saturday, and most importantly, ways we can support small businesses all throughout the year. And when I say all throughout the year, I don't mean the calendar year. I mean all throughout the year, like a year from, right? Not just 2025. My challenge to you, and I'm gonna do it myself as well. So don't think it's like I don't roll like that. Use shop small every day. Now I know Instagram. For those who don't know, if you did not read my newsletter, Instagram's changing it up to where you can only use so many hashtags. They're testing that out. I didn't say every post has to have shop small every day. I'm just saying, hey, if you do 3 posts in one day, shop small every day. Got this cup, got this candle, got, well, I don't have a hat on my head, but you know what I mean. If you get a hat, got a haircut, got a fade up, got looking good, you know what I'm saying, got shaved up, got cleaned up, shop small. Your nail technician, your barber, where you get your candles. You know I love candles. For those who don't know, I love candles, by the way. So that's why I keep bringing up candles, scented candles. If you got your fragrance, if you if you are one of the lucky people who has a local streaming company in your neighborhood, yeah, say, hey, yeah, I watched this show on this streaming company that's in my neighborhood. First off, I don't know how you pull that off. I don't know where you live, but that's freaking awesome. Most likely that's not the case. But I have the last thing, and I know this might throw a little bit of it off, but there are a lot of online influencers, very much like myself. When it comes, I'm not an influencer. Nobody, I don't have that movement, but people who are champions of their cities. Oops, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna have to cut that out and redo it. Let me go. People who are champions of their cities, and I just say I'm gonna have to cut that out, but this is live. How am I gonna do that? I just thought about that. I do that like if that pops up during the podcast recording. I was like, oh shoot, I gotta cut that out. I was like, just wait a minute, Aaron, come back. Sorry about that. This is live, y'all. That's how things work. You know, you can forget to turn off your phone, and it wasn't my mama calling me, because it was my mama calling me. I'd be like, hey, y'all going to kick rocks for 5 minutes. But and it wasn't the business phone, so man. I'll answer my business phone on Saturday. I actually will. I will answer my business phone on Saturday, especially if it's a client. So yeah. But I kind of lost my thought, but I didn't. I was just thinking about where I went. Anyway, there are some people who really champion their cities and their towns, and they're influencers, or they are online businesses, strictly online businesses. Support them. And I do mean that. That actually goes back to Shop and Small. I know it's a little different and it's unique, but there are some online businesses that I've seen. There's a great watch company out of North Carolina, and they are all day Charlotte. All day. All day. And I mean that. They like everything's about Charlotte. Everything's about Charlotte. That's what I'm talking about. And there's some online businesses that are really, really, really good champions of their neighborhoods and their communities, or their cities, or their states, even, or their countries, their provinces. Know a great company out of Madrid. Know a really good company. I'm not sure what part of Toronto she's in. I know she's in Toronto, but I'm not sure what part of Toronto. But it's a bakery. But that's my point. Is like there's online businesses that champion their community. So if you can't go out, and I understand that, if and maybe it's not somebody you're like, I like this person, but they don't have a store or something, still do it. Shop small every day. I really think that would be a more realistic way of doing things sometimes, because we do still order from online, and we want to order a T-shirt from our favorite podcast, or our favorite online influencer, and they're gonna put money back into their community. They may not talk about it as much like the way I do it, because I'm focusing on small business marketing. That's what I do. Specifically small business digital marketing, not even just marketing, digital marketing, because that's what I do. But some people are like, hey, I'm talking about Philadelphia all the time, or they're talking about parts of Florida all the time, or they're talking about Spain all the time. Of course, like I mentioned the company in Madrid, I'm thinking of Spain automatically. But you get my point. They talk about their local neighborhood. So if there is a online personality or small businesses or business that you want to support, and they're really a champion of their neighborhood, go for it. But make sure use tags like this. But this one, like I said, the challenge is shop small every day, just to showcase to people that we are focusing on putting money back into the small businesses and focusing on small businesses. Because if you don't have a small business, you don't have Amazon, you don't have Alibaba, and I'm not BSing you. You don't have Shopify. You will have Google. You will have Google. You're gonna have Google. But without those small businesses, you damn sure don't have Amazon. I'm just flat, full stop. You don't have Home Depot. You don't have Alibaba. I would kind of art. I would love to see this. I gotta do some crunch on this. You may not have TikTok. And I know you're probably wondering, like, really? You may not have TikTok because remember, money has to come from somewhere. The money has to come from somewhere, right? And attention is the currency. And although people dancing and doing all the little stuff on TikTok and everything drive a lot of attention, Snapchat had that. Instagram didn't have it as much, but Snapchat had that. TikTok was able to bring it to where businesses wanted to be a part of that attention. Small businesses want to be a part of that attention. So I would be very interested to see if it's the same thing. But I can tell you right now, once again, the companies I mentioned, you will not have Amazon, you will not have Home Depot. I mean Lowe's, but Home Depot especially. Um, you wouldn't have Alibaba. You, yeah, I'm really thinking about that TikTok one though. I'm really thinking about that. These corporations, these tech companies, or and as mentioned, Shopify and even Square, um, they need small businesses, right? They need small businesses to survive. Like we should show the appreciation and respect to small business owners, you know. And if you are a small business owner, you feed your community. You feed your community. You protect your people. You help your people. You hire your people. You support your people. You know, everything from giving people food on loans, on credit. We know grocery stores that have done it. We know cafes that have done it. We know restaurants that have done it. You know, helping and participating in soup kitchens, helping people with toy drives, clothes drives, helping people, rebuild communities and feed workers when they've been decimated by, natural disasters or natural disasters. Also, there's some national disasters too. I'm not trying to go there, but yeah, natural disasters, employing people during, major events where, people who finally had an opportunity to get their first job or opportunities to get back on their feet. This is what small business owners do, and this is what small businesses do. So I challenge us, just you that until November 20. Well, yeah, let's just say it. Let me look at the calendar because I'm about to mess up the date. Let's give it a year out. Let's give it a year out. Let me see right now. Let me see. Excuse me if you see the nose hairs. I know I laugh like an old man. I know. I don't care. All right. um, was that November 28th? So it's not exactly 1 year, right? But yeah, until November 28th, you're posting X, Instagram, Facebook, and I only say those because it's the ones with the highest traffic, right? When it comes to the hashtag. Substack hashtags don't matter. So for those who want to put, I saw some people put some hashtags on Substack. It's like that's nice, but it don't matter. Use the shop small everyday tag. Tag a business and just show that support. It goes a long way. All right, y'all. So with that, we're at pretty much at the hour mark. Newsletter. Of course, I send a newsletter, the Ambitious newsletter, every Monday on LinkedIn. Now, here's the difference. For you guys who are here on Substack, the Substack newsletter has a lot more, of course. Let's just be real. There's a reason for that. It's just this is what a community is. But for you guys who may be watching, you're from LinkedIn, hey, come on over. Check it out on Substack. It's a few more critical pieces of information, a little more in depth. I kind of like do a headline or something on LinkedIn, and if you can pick it up if you want it, understandable. Grab what you need, feed the peoples. But the Substack one has the more, it has the meat and the potatoes. Okay, we're coming out of Thanksgiving for those who celebrate and participate in Thanksgiving meals. And the funny thing is, I had an article about harvest festivals as well, so you could check that out. I'll put a link to the harvest festival conversation in the or article and conversation in the description of this episode. So check it out on Monday. Like I said, the LinkedIn version has a lot more to it. I'm sorry, not sorry. The Substack version has a lot more to it. The LinkedIn version has a few kind of like just headlines to everything. But look out for the grant information. Look out for the events coming up information because there's still quite a few events coming up. Um, and in the second newsletter that I'm gonna send out, I'm actually gonna send out two newsletters this next week because we have an update about all the updates. Everybody updated something. Affinity, Canva, of course, ChatGPT, Google and Gemini, YouTube. There's been a bunch of updates this year, and I've compiled those together so that way you guys can stay on top of this stuff and see what to use for your business. What would work and what wouldn't work is very important because as policies change, as features change, you might be more inclined to use something, but we just, there's word about this, and for those who don't know, I know everybody wants to run out and use AI and everything like that, but this is my point about like all these updates. You know, there's a class action lawsuit right now about music AI, specifically music AI that's pulling from samples, and that's the kind of stuff you want to be prepared for. You want to be kind of aware of. So as these policies change and new technology, or specifically new technology and features come out, be aware and cognizant of those things. And sometimes it's a lot out there that you can't be aware of. That's why I'm doing this additional kind of supplemental newsletter, if you will. I don't do 2 a week. I'm doing 2 a week for this one. In the second newsletter this week, we'll have those updates. So, hey, here's the updates. You need to be aware of these features, but keep in mind, using these features, you want to know how to protect yourself. So don't just run out there and use anybody's music. Don't run out there and just use any art from any platform. Pay attention to what's coming up. Great companies, and I will admit, great companies like Affinity and Canva, they have been very transparent about why they're making these features and why they're making these updates and what they're using and what they're not using. And that's a big one, what they're not using. But there's also some good information about why those companies are more inclined to offer a lot of stuff for free, and make these updates so fast. So as a business owner, you need to know, hey, 2026, what's coming up, what features should I be focused on using, which ones are going to actually help me. And that's always been my job with my clients, was helping them understand new technology and new things that are out there, like features, like I said, with the whole thing with the hashtags and Instagram. For those who don't know, that could affect you in your strategy. So once again, that's why it's going to be a second newsletter this week. That'll be later in the week though. So right before we go live on next Saturday, that newsletter will be coming out on Thursday or Friday. Anywho, with that, we are now over the hour because I can ramble, right? Appreciate you guys for stopping by. Appreciate you guys for checking me out and the Substack. Hey, once again, every Saturday, roughly about 10 o'clock Central, 10 a.m. Central, I will go live on Substack and share it out. This will also be posted in the Patreon. I usually continue the conversation in Patreon, but I can't do it this Saturday. And if you have questions, drop your question. There's a link to submit your question. Use that form to submit your question. I answer the questions in Patreon, of course. That's why I go a little longer. I do have questions sitting there, which I will get to, and it will be posted at some point this week. But if you have questions, just put them in there. Hey, maybe there's a platform you want to know about. Maybe there's a feature that's coming out or that you're using on one of these platforms and you're having issues with, or you just want to know what's a better way to use it. And the biggest one, like, hey, maybe shop small. Hey, Aaron, what's another way I can support small businesses? I mentioned a few, of course, just going out shopping them, of course. But hey, if you have a rental space, hey, set up a pop-up shop. I've seen these. Some do well, some don't do well. It depends on how you pitch it in your marketing and post it out there. But set up a pop-up shop is the easiest one. I'm going to drop you this real quick nugget. If you have a locally owned bank, talk to them about using a space for small businesses. And I'll tell you why. Banks are really going to, well, I can't say for all banks. If the bank has a facility, like an actual facility where they have a meeting room or they have a common space or something like that where you can have a gathering and some tables or chairs, insurance and banks typically don't mind lending those out to something like this for commerce. You know why? It's an automatic opportunity to get leads, to open up accounts, to get loans, or I'm sorry, to issue loans and to help people get home loans, business loans, all those types of things. So work with a local bank. And here's why I'm talking about focusing on small businesses so much. If you support small businesses, banks want to come to your community. And if banks want to come to your community, banks will help you get homes and property. And they want to invest in those communities. And when I say they want to, meaning that they want to. And if they want to, they want to. And if you don't know what I mean by the second want to, apply for a loan and see what happens. See how long it takes them to say, no, we can't do nothing with this. Let's figure something out. We want to be here. Let's figure something out. We want to be in your business. Let's figure something out. That's what you want a bank to say to you. Let's figure something out. Hey, not all of us can get it from the mud. Not all of us can get it from our parents. Not all of us can get it from our own pockets. If you have to take a loan to survive and to grow your business, nothing ashamed of that. Just have a plan on how you're going to pay back that loan and have a plan on how you will have really good cash flow going forward. Nothing wrong with that. We do what you have to do sometimes until you can do what you want to do. Just that simple. So, anywho, best to you and yours. Please go out and support a small business today. Please go out and support small businesses every day. If you have a small business, if you are a small business owner, let me know your business. Drop a comment. Seriously, drop a comment. This is open comments. Drop a comment. I don't mind you putting a link to your small business. Now, if you're spamming me and you're trying to get, money to get out of prison, I can't help you. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I just can't help you that way. But I know there's somebody's like, what the heck? I just be honest with you. I've seen a link like that. I have seen that comment before. Not on my video, thank God. But yeah, drop. Hey, what do you do? Where's your business located? I would like to know that. At the very least, tell us that, because closed mouths don't get fed. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna stop dropping quotes like I'm all knowledgeable and everything, because I get all my information from the internet, so I'm not that smart. I don't know why I said that. Anywho, best to you and yours. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Also, once again, have a great holiday. If you did celebrate, best to you and yours on the holidays. If you're struggling, anybody going through anything, hey, take it one day at a time. Keep your head up. It's a tough season out there. I know, with the days getting longer, days getting shorter and the nights getting longer. It can be rough for some people. So, just take it one moment at a time. Don't get overwhelmed. Same thing as running a business. Don't get overwhelmed. Check out the newsletter coming out Monday. I will see you guys. Drop a comment. Look forward to seeing your comments. Best to you and yours, and peace. All right. I got to finish this cup of coffee because it got cold as heck right now.